If you see me on my phone, that's just my notes. I'm not texting or anything.
You're good.
I'll be texting. All right, we ready? All right, let's rock and roll.
Do it.
All right. Welcome to My Dad's Movie Podcast. Did I say that right?
Yeah.
Welcome to My Dad's Movie Podcast.
Yeah.
That sounded really weird in my head as I said it.
Well, it's because it's actually my dad's movie podcast.
That's right. Okay.
Yeah. You're my dad.
I'm your dad. Yeah. We've established that multiple times now.
Yeah.
Wait, you're not my dad. What am I doing here?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes. What are you doing here?
My Dad's Movie Podcast does not exist yet.
Hey, anyone's dad can have a podcast. It's 2026 now.
That's right.
That's the motivation to make this podcast.
Yeah, absolutely.
So with me, as usual, we've already established my son Tabor.
Con!
Yep. There's Tabor.
Different movie, but yeah.
We also have another co-host with me today, somebody that's been on a couple of times and helped me out with some podcasts, Justin Zarian.
Oh my.
So you've actually he's better than me.
Yeah.
You're the son now.
He's had 3 months to prepare.
Yeah.
I have.
So yeah.
I've also seen a lot of stuff with that actor in it. So
Yeah. You have actually been on the show quite a few times, but I was actually in the hospital
I remember, yeah.
for a lot of those. So.
When we did that Mel Brooks episode and you were still recovering, which I'm glad to see you're in good health too.
I'm in better health.
Okay, I'll say good and relative to where you were back then.
Not 100% good.
So let me introduce our special guest also.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yes.
Let's do that.
All right, that guy.
Today on the podcast, we have, let's see, you are a college professor at BYU Provo, Matthew Taggart.
That's correct. Yes,
There
sir.
we go.
Ooh.
Nice.
So
So,
you represent.
yes.
Yeah.
So, Matthew, what I like to do is whenever we have a guest on, I like them to take at least a couple of minutes and just kind of give us a little bit of your background. Why are we talking to you on a movie podcast? So
Okay.
you're on now.
No pressure.
I don't know. I've been making movies for the last 20 plus years. I got my start kind of right out of high school, and then I served a mission for the LDS Church, and then came back and kind of tried the whole college thing. It didn't really work out. Didn't take. And so I got a job working in a film production company in Salt Lake City. Worked for them for a number of years, shifted gears a little bit, worked in reality TV up in Wyoming, but made movies the whole time, TV shows, different things like that. And then decided to go back and get my degree. And so I did that. I went to both BYU, and then I also went to Arizona State University. And then a friend of mine who we were talking about kind of before the podcast got going told me there was a job opening at BYU and told me to apply. And so I did. And I've been teaching there the last 2 years. It's been incredible.
And I would love to teach at BYU. That'd be so fun.
That's great.
It's really fun.
I'd like to teach anywhere.
Yeah, right.
Whoever will have me.
Right.
So I guess the education took hold eventually. And yeah.
Late bloomer.
Hey, there's no bad time. I mean, my dad went through college recently to get a certification essentially to help with like mediations and that kind of stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So, just this guy in his 50s at the time going through college again. Anyone could do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
That's
and
nice.
it was fun too because I had enough real world experience that I think I approached being in school differently probably than I would have, or I did when I was in my 20s. That probably served me a little bit better. So yeah.
Nice.
But not to waste time and everything else. You know what's important.
Yeah.
Quick question. What's the reality TV that's going on in Wyoming?
So yeah, there was it's went for I think they had 17 or 18 seasons. There was a TV show called The Best of the West, and I had no clue that it was a TV show that was being produced in my hometown. But shortly after I got married, I had someone who called me up and said they're looking for an editor, producer, and I really wanted to move home at that point, so I did, and I worked there for 5 years, and it was absolutely amazing. One of the best jobs I've ever had. Most adventurous job I've ever had, certainly. But yeah, and then we moved back to Utah.
Nice. Okay.
That's cool. So I have a son down there. I can't remember. I think maybe he got me in touch with you, Alec.
Yeah.
Has he been in classes with you, or?
Yeah, I've had him in multiple classes actually, and interacted with him quite a bit over the last 2 years.
Shout out to Alec.
Great student, absolutely.
Also, stop slacking. Get back to your homework.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. Busy making movies instead of doing homework.
That's all. It's all good, man. That's what we do.
Yeah.
So, Matthew, you have made some, I know you made at least one feature-length movie, The Counterfeit Kid.
Mm-hmm.
Is there other stuff that you've made beyond that?
I did make one movie before Counterfeit Kid called Dead Noon that was released through Lionsgate, kind of a hybrid horror Western.
Nice.
It's out there, but
just leave it right there.
I'm definitely more proud of The Counterfeit Kid. Certainly, that was my most recent one, and just a lot of fun. Shot that up in my hometown,
Nice.
Cody, Wyoming. So yeah.
Oh, you're from Cody. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I watched The Counterfeit Kid. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but I watched it, and I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. There was so much fun stuff in there.
Thank you.
So yeah, I thought it was pretty cool. Whenever I watch cowboy westerns and stuff like that, and I see all these really pretty people that are supposed to be cowboys, these rough guys, it's like, yeah, I don't know that's right.
No, I don't know though. Our main actor, I mean, he's pretty dang handsome.
Right.
Yeah, we've talked a little bit about spaghetti westerns on the show when we talked about Clint Eastwood, and we really didn't talk about his westerns. We talked about his other movies, but that's something that is kind of common in spaghetti westerns. Is they got these grungy looking guys, and Clint Eastwood is considered handsome now, but I think that's kind of because he was a hero, and he got famous, but. A lot of these other guys like Eli Wallach and the other gentleman's name I can't remember off the top of my head.
Marvin Van Peebles, was it?
Maybe, I think so. They weren't cast because they
Marvin Van Cleeps. That's what it is.
Yes, that's what it is.
Not Van Peebles.
I know. I was like, I knew it was a Van something. Very different. Very different person.
Yeah, but they look scary and grizzled, and they look like someone you would run into in a Western town, and I think that's perfect. And we've also talked about this on the show where we are kind of running out of normal people. In movies, we're just looking for who is, the cutest face that we can put into this thing and try to sell that. And I'm missing realistic looking people.
Yeah. I mean, the problem is that people like to look at the pretty people. It's one of those things where you're like, who are you going to trust more? The guy who looks like Clint Eastwood or the hatchet-faced looking dude in the background?
Right.
It's like, yeah, probably they would go with the more handsome guy.
Right.
But that's just a basic human impulse for a lot of this kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Well, but I was, funny enough, I was just talking to some students today about this. I was complimenting them on their final project is coming to an end, and we were reviewing some of the footage today, and I just said, I think you guys knocked it out of the park with your casting, because certainly they cast attractive people, but they're more interesting to look at. They're not necessarily Hollywood, bombshell blonde hair or chiseled jaw. These are, I don't want to say they're normal looking people because they are really attractive, but they're interesting to look at, and that's Lee Van Cleef, whether you think he's handsome or not, he's certainly an interesting person to look at.
Oh, yeah. And there's some believability in when you're looking at this character.
Yeah.
You see that character.
Yeah.
I like looking at Roy Scheider. I think in Jaws, he isn't this new Hollywood handsome, hero, but he is a hero in Jaws, and he's so awesome on screen. And,
he looks like someone you can actually meet in real life.
Oh, yeah,
not
absolutely.
just not an actor, just a normal person.
Yeah, absolutely.
So,
And super expressive in his face too.
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
I mean, that's why they use all those like trombone and dolly shots on him to get that really expressive look that you get.
Yeah.
so you like looking at Roy Scheider?
Almost every day now.
Yeah.
Since we watched Jaws.
So Matthew, welcome to my dad's therapy podcast.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what are we talking about tonight? I think when I talked to you, Matthew, we were going to talk about Leonard Nimoy and as a director, but I mean, we can also talk about him as an actor because he's definitely acting is huge with him.
Yeah.
And then we were going to kind of talk about two of the Star Trek movies, number 3 and number 6.
Mm-hmm.
Correct.
So yeah.
That would be Search for Spock and The Undiscovered Country.
Yeah.
I almost forgot which one it was because I was looking through my Paramount app and I'm like, oh, it's Generations, right? I'm like, no, not that one.
Yeah.
Don't want to jump the shark too much on that.
Well, and 3 is, when we were kind of discussing which ones we wanted to go, I know it may not be the most popular of the original 6 films, but it actually is my favorite of the original 6. I understand why people like Wrath of Khan better. I totally get that, respect that, but I love 3 so much so that the end fight scene in Counterfeit Kid, a lot of that fight choreography in that end fight was lifted pretty, not shot for shot, but when we were doing that movie, I was really worried about directing a fight scene, and I didn't know if I knew how to do it, and so I just pulled that last fight scene between William Shatner and Christopher Lloyd and
really
used that for Counterfeit Kid.
Oh, nice.
Right on.
Did you get an amazing stuntman to do a backflip like William Shatner definitely did not do in that scene?
I saw that and I was like, oh, wait a minute.
That was very obviously a stunt double.
I can put my suspension of disbelief there, though. Just imagine it being William Shatner.
We've seen what he looks like unedited fighting against that Gorn in that episode of the old series.
Yeah.
I haven't.
Oh, it is the stuff of legends.
I'm not a Star Trek guy, believe it or not. My entire family are Star Trek people, and I'm a Star Wars person.
I mean, I am too. I like
Nobody's
Trek.
perfect.
I like Trek when it's good. I just also think Trek has not been always consistently good, and that's external factors that's causing that problem, especially nowadays.
Right.
But Star Wars has had a solid track record
Oh,
the entire
yeah.
time, right?
No stinkers, no duds, no humongous disappointing.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
Yeah.
They fly now.
Yeah.
I am of the mindset I love both Star Trek and Star Wars. I mean, Trek is my first love, but how can you not like Star Wars? I don't really subscribe to the, I think there's room for everybody. They're both pretty awesome franchises.
You're not one to draw a line in the sand and
No,
make people.
no.
The line is drawn here.
Yeah.
No further.
Yeah.
I've seen a few Star Trek movies in my life.
I will say most of the Star Trek I have seen is Next Generation.
Yeah.
So the I guess the 4 Next Generation movies.
Yeah, because there was Generation, there was First Contact,
Insurrection,
and then
Nemesis.
Nemesis. Yes.
I love First Contact.
First Contact is my
yeah.
favorite, personally.
Oh, I love First Contact.
First Contact's a great one.
Yeah.
And maybe, again, I would be willing to say that there's ones that are even better constructed than Star Trek 3, but I think 3 has so many interesting parts about it that make it unique compared to the rest of the 6 films, or even the additional, I guess, 10 films if you count the Next Generation ones as well.
Mm-hmm.
That just make it really unique, and that's why it works for me. I think better, and I do attribute a lot of that to Leonard Nimoy's direction. I think he's kind of an underrated director, really.
So let's go into that. Let's talk about Leonard Nimoy as a director.
Mm-hmm.
What
Do you have some biography information on Leonard Nimoy first?
I've got his mom and his dad, mother Dora, dad Max. Max owned a barber shop.
Boston, Massachusetts.
Yes.
Mm.
Jewish immigrants from Ukraine.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Kind of cool.
His full name is Leonard Simon Nimoy. Also,
Yes.
So Nimoy's not short for anything. That's his full.
That's his name.
I guess that makes sense with the Ukrainian background. That'd probably be a more exotic kind of sounding name like
Yeah.
So when I was a kid, I thought Leonard Nimoy. I thought like that was like his Star Trek name, and he adopted it like because he goes by
His
Spock
stage name.
Yeah, and he goes.
Right.
I thought he was Spock Nimoy, and he goes. You know what? I'm going to take Spock's last name. I'm going to use it as my last name. So
Yeah. So that's what he is most known for, is the character Spock, and I don't really know a lot about him as far as beyond being Spock. So
Yeah.
Well,
Well, he kind of got typecast, unfortunately.
mhm.
He was, I can't remember if it's 2 seasons or just one, but he did a season of Mission Impossible,
Yes.
and he's quite good in that. But I would argue he kind of plays a Spockish character. And then the thing that I know him, I guess, most outside of Star Trek is he hosted kind of a precursor to Unsolved Mysteries, the
Ooh.
In Search of show
I think I
in the
remember that.
70s,
I've seen a clip
which
of
was
that somewhere.
excellent. In Search of is awesome. And they would, these little TV documentaries about Bigfoot or UFOs or whatever. And again, I think kind of lending his fake credibility as I think people look at him and, well, he's Spock. He's got to know what he's talking about.
Yeah.
Pseudoscientist to be the host of that show, which is awesome. But and then the other big thing I know he did is he did a movie about Vincent Van Gogh and Vincent Van Gogh's brother, that was good. And then the other great one, he's in what's the name of that director? He's in the remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
That is an incredible movie.
Wait, the 70s one?
Oh yeah.
I
with
forgot he
Donald
was in that.
Sutherland.
Oh, I
He's
forgot he was in that.
phenomenal in that. He's awesome in that.
Yeah, he's great in that. And I think that's the earliest memory I have of watching a horror movie.
oh,
Oh yeah.
Mom was like, "What are you, 4 now? Yeah, you're ready."
I think I mostly remember Nimoy from a lot of his voice work because he just do cartoons because he has such a great, voice
Yeah.
and stuff.
Didn't he do Transformers?
He was in the third one. Yeah, the third movie.
That's right.
Yeah, playing that. I mean, he overtly quotes Star Trek a couple times in that one too, just to let you know it's Leonard Nimoy.
Sure.
But I
Was
remember
he
him in. Oh yeah.
Was he in the cartoon in the '84 movie as well?
Oh, I don't think so. I think he was just in the third movie because they wanted a notable sci-fi actor.
Yeah, sure.
But then I remember he also did appearances in The Simpsons and Futurama. That's where I first encountered
Yeah.
him. So,
Yeah.
Oh yeah, when he was Leonard Nimoy's head getting fed fish food in the head museum.
Yeah.
Well, so he was Spock. Obviously, he was most identified with that. And when they did the second Star Trek movie, they kill off Spock. And part of his arrangement to kind of come back to the series was, I'll come back as Spock if you let me direct the movie. And so Michael Eisner was the head of Paramount at the time, and
I know that name.
yeah, most of us remember him from Disney on Sundays as kids growing up.
Yep.
But he initially said no because he thought that Leonard Nimoy hated Star Trek. He was under this impression that because Leonard Nimoy had kind of voiced that he was upset that he was being typecast all the time.
right.
And so
It's not like he wrote a book called I Am Not Spock to voice his disdain for being typecast.
and that's where Michael Eisner got the idea. He said, you wrote this freaking book. Like, I mean, and then Leonard Nimoy kind of explained the nuances of his feelings. And so they came to an agreement. And then, so he got to direct Search for Spock. And before that, what's kind of also kind of a fun little meta nerdy thing, at the time, William Shatner was on TJ Hooker. That was the TV show that William Shatner had moved into after his post-Trek career. And so Leonard Nimoy went and directed an episode of TJ Hooker to kind of get some more experience being a director for film and TV.
And then he knocked it out of the
Star
park
Trek.
with the fifth movie.
Well, I was Shatner, and I will defend Star Trek V as well from a directing standpoint.
You will be one of the big ones then.
There's no question it's the worst of the movies, but I think a lot of that is more studio interference and budget problems more than the direction.
So, would you agree with the statement that for the original series movies that it's the even numbers that tend to be the better films, and that the odd numbers are the ones that are the weakest?
I mean, I think box office proves that, but again, I love Star Trek: The Motion Picture, and I will fully acknowledge it is slow. It is so boring. I still love it. I'm not really going to go to bat for 5. I would never show that one as, hey, you want to get into Star Trek? Let's go watch Star Trek 5.
Right.
I do actually show that one in my in one of the classes I teach, though. because it's such a disaster of a movie. And unlike, you watch DVD special features, and when they go over how did this movie get made, and everyone's just kissing each other's butts and saying like, oh, this was the best crew I've ever worked on. All of the Star Trek V supplementary material is like, yeah, we really messed up here. and they kind of fully acknowledge mistakes and things like that. And so I think it's a pretty good learning, learning tool. But yeah, I like all of the Star Trek, the original 6 movies. And funny enough, the even ones are not, it's like picking a kid. I like all 6 of them.
For different reasons.
Yes, for different reasons.
They all have their strengths and weaknesses.
Right.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So what do you notice about Leonard Nimoy as a director? Like when you're watching his movies, what kind of director is he?
The thing that I notice, and it's unfortunate that I will never get a chance to ask him this. I did try to kind of look up if there was anything written or if he said anything about this, but I think because he is such a cerebral actor, he is very focused on performance of actors more so than maybe elaborate staging of cool camera moves or special effects. Like there's certainly some really fun special effects in Star Trek 3, but there's so many just great close-ups. There's more close-ups in Star Trek 3 than, I didn't actually count this, but I would wager, than all the other 5 Star Trek movies combined. There are just some incredible, super, just amazing close-ups where you really get into what the characters are thinking. And he gives a chance for all of the characters to have their little moment in the sun. Lots of the Star Trek movies focus on the captains, the first officers, and you see kind of the other people. But I think Nimoy did a pretty good job of, he knows it's about Captain Kirk. He knows it's about Dr. McCoy. But you get these great moments with all of the cast.
Right.
And it kind of reminds me of the fun of the TV show the most out of the original 6 movies.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. That's one thing that I did notice about the, especially number 3. There's a lot. It's really driven a lot, it seems like, by the characters and their interactions between the characters, and it's not just the interaction of just the captain, or it's the interactions by a lot of different characters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, and I think too, we talked about Leonard Nimoy growing up in Boston in a Jewish family. A lot of his Jewish faith and experiences and kind of his Jewish community informed Spock. I mean, even the live long and prosper hand gesture is lifted from Jewish tradition and ceremony. And again, I think that's what I personally love about 2 and 3. There's a lot of spirituality in both of these, which doesn't always jive with Star Trek. It's a pretty secular universe, I guess.
Right.
You could say humanist more than any type of religion. But in Star Trek 2, you have the kind of the Christian idea of greater love hath no man than this. Spock lays down his life for his friends. The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. And then Star Trek 3, you've got the awesome leave the 99 and go after the one. The needs of the one outweigh the needs of the many. And that, the theme of the movie is friendship. And I really dig that. I think that's incredible. And that's honestly what I love about these characters is the friendship between these people.
Yeah.
Speaking of friendship, I've heard rumors that Spock and Nimoy kind of butted heads a lot. Is that a true statement, or were they actually pretty good friends?
Their relationship is interesting over time. They did, I wouldn't say they butted heads during the TV show. They did, but I think they kind of figured things out while they were making the show and became friends then. But there was some jealousy because Leonard Nimoy did get more fan mail than William Shatner. And this led to them having a favored nations clause in their contract where whatever William Shatner got, Leonard Nimoy got. Whatever Leonard Nimoy got, William Shatner got. So when Leonard Nimoy got Star Trek 3 to direct that, that's why William Shatner, the legal obligation of the studio was we have to let William Shatner direct one of these Star Trek films. So their relationship did have its ups and downs. It's kind of too bad because towards the end of Leonard Nimoy's life, from what I understand, they were kind of on the outs. But there was a great documentary that came out in, I'm going to say 2010, called I can't remember what it's called, but it's William Shatner and Leonard Nimoy just talking to one another about their experiences on Star Trek. And at the end of it, there's this great moment where Leonard Nimoy just puts his hand on William Shatner's shoulder and just says, "I love you. You're my best friend." And it's a genuine feeling. And so the fact that they then had a falling out is kind of too bad. But they did care for each other, I think, pretty much.
I will bet that what he was trying to do was that Vulcan nerve pinch. And it just didn't take.
Once you hit a certain age, you can't do it as easily anymore. And,
Right.
Yeah, it
It's like,
didn't work.
crap, hurting him didn't work. I better kill him with kindness now.
Right. Do you guys remember growing up the neck pinch? I would do that on my kids all the time.
Well,
I'd get a hold of them and
I actually don't because I was probably passed out.
right.
It was an effective maneuver.
It worked. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I'm curious, I've seen it a billion times, but what did you all think of 3?
Who wants to go first?
Go do it.
Oh, well, actually, this was my very first time ever seeing both these films we're talking about. I'd seen Wrath of Khan years ago, and then I'd seen a good amount of a bunch of the other ones. 4 is still the one I haven't seen all the way. Is that the one, or is it the later one that has the "Hello, computer" line in it?
That's 4, yeah.
Okay, I was gonna say I know that line from that. I know the memes more than I know the whole movies.
Yeah,
4 is also directed by Leonard Nimoy, correct?
it is.
Oh, right. Okay, I forgot about that. I will admit, I did not care for this movie very much.
All right.
I tried. I really tried.
Which one are we talking about?
3.
The 3?
3,
Okay.
Yeah. I will say this. I actually think, not to just disparage everything that Matt just said about that stuff. I actually think I preferred Leonard Nimoy's approach with how he did visuals in a lot of cases. Like, I know the effects have been criticized on and off for it, but I think his scope and sense of scale, considering the budget they had for the movie, was actually pretty impressive throughout a lot of it. I think, yeah, I mean,
I'll
again,
agree with that. Yeah,
it looks cheaper than a lot of the other sci-fi movies coming out then, but that's also kind of keeping with the aesthetic of general Star Trek, where it's not meant to look like the big, crazy, outlandish stuff kind of thing.
Right.
But I thought his like that approach, that meditative approach you were kind of saying with the cerebral stuff, that really shone through a lot more with his visuals than most other stuff in the movie.
Yeah. The thing is I noticed with the Star Trek movies that it's really fighting out of its weight class.
Yep.
It is doing some really extraordinary things sci-fi wise and is fighting against the limitations of special effects at the time. And we've talked about this before where, like, if you take my grandma and Usain Bolt and made them race each other.
I talked to her about that also.
Yeah.
She's up for it.
Usain Bolt is going to leave her in the dust every time. My grandma could be the fastest old lady that has ever lived, but Usain Bolt's going to beat her. So it's the same thing with special effects, is that when younger kids are watching these old movies and like, oh, the special effects, because you're comparing it to what special effects can be today.
Now,
Sure.
yeah.
And that's the thing. I can judge that fairly because I also know that even in the same year it came out, the effects were still modest, even compared to other movies at the time kind of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, age is not a problem with those kind of things.
Yeah.
I think just ultimately my biggest issue with the movie was just, I thought the story was really drawn out. Like, it's a weird movie where it's doing a lot and also not doing a lot at the same time. Because we already know it's a foregone conclusion where it's all leading to. And everything else around it is kind of window dressing for the most part. Like, most of the stuff with the other characters, it's nice to know these characters and interact with them. There's not really any dramatic development. I mean, even the fact, one of the biggest things that happen in the movie happens, near the end. I mean, I know if we're fully spoiling everything.
Spoil it.
Okay. They kill off Kirk's
They've
son.
had 40 years to watch it.
Okay,
So I think
they kill Kirk's son, and I thought I missed something because the scene just happened so quickly, and it had other than Shatner doing a melodramatic reaction to it, it had so little impact. I'm like, Wait, he died in that scene?
Oh,
That
yeah.
seemed like there was nothing happened in that scene.
Yeah. It's like a almost blink and you miss it thing. It's
I just remember his ooh sound that he made when he died.
yeah. It kind of reminds me of No Country for Old Men when you're just like, wait, Llewellyn just died?
Well, but
Like,
see, that one's a misdirect because I think that one worked where you're like, oh, Llewellyn was just so insignificant in the grander scheme of the story. But in here, this has a direct impact on Kirk, and it takes until 6 for that to actually pay off. You know, it's like, oh, that's what you should have done to help pay off that emotionally for his character. Because I feel like that was a tertiary plot point when that should have had more impact in the story.
Yeah, I was
Okay.
Okay.
Here we go. I love this. This is why I love talking about movies.
Okay, here we go.
This is
Good
awesome.
stuff.
I'm going to push back just a little bit. I will agree. I mean, yeah, I have mixed feelings about him having a son in general anyways.
Yes,
but
yes.
this is what I'll say about it. You mentioned his melodramatic reaction, and I'm going to actually really go to bat for William Shatner on this one because the fact that he stumbles back and you see him fall and miss the chair, I think is a really bold choice. And I think we see that type of stuff in sci-fi and more escapist type films nowadays. We're used to it. But I think seeing the hero completely fall out, I mean, the captain's chair is the throne of the king in these stories. And to see him that distraught, I think is actually, for the time, I think it's a bold choice. And I wonder if it maybe landed different at the time. I mean, I totally agree with you. I'm the same way where when people bash movies from the 60s, 40s, or whatever about the special effects, I'm like, well, okay, but you got to judge it in context.
Yeah,
and so
yeah.
I agree with you on that one. But I actually do think the performance there, I think it's kind of a bold choice for the time.
Yeah, I think it was just more the fact that it had so little effect in anything else happening in the plot. That's what kind of bothered me more. It was like, that would have been a great scene if it mattered more in the grand scheme of the picture. Because I think that was better than ultimately, I think Christopher Lloyd could have really been any character because he had so little impact in this plot. Like, you know, even though he's a driving force as an opposition, nothing Krug did really mattered in the long run. It was such an obvious defeat for him. I'm just like,
I was
there shouldn't have been a bad guy, honestly. I feel like they could have just had no antagonist.
right. I was a little split with Christopher Lloyd as a Klingon because I loved watching Christopher Lloyd as a Klingon, but at the same time, I'm thinking Christopher Lloyd is not a Klingon.
Marty,
why
I'm
is
an
he doing
alien.
this? Yeah.
Oh, you guys are killing me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I love it. I am a big advocate for this.
I love
if
Christopher
everyone
Lloyd.
likes the same thing, it's a waste of time. So Leonard Nimoy being cast as a Klingon though is a direct reaction from Leonard Nimoy. Leonard Nimoy saying, "I got typecast as Spock. I can do anything. Quit telling me that I'm only Spock." He picked Christopher Lloyd because Christopher Lloyd was Jim on Taxi
Yep.
and getting cast as these wacky characters all the time. And he said, no, let's let him go crazy and be a bad guy. So
Let him cook.
Yeah.
yeah.
Here, put these ridges on your head.
Yeah. I just
Go.
feel that Krug was just not a great villain, personally. Like, I don't, no shade to Christopher Lloyd. It was just one thing.
No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah. Krug is just like, he's just any Klingon at that point.
See, and I am coming from a different point of view where I love Christopher Lloyd so much that I was blinded by everything else. I was like, look at him go. And then when you said he didn't have a bearing on the plot, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess it didn't. I was just having so much fun with him. I just didn't.
Okay. But here's the other thing. And this is why Christopher Lloyd's awesome. As Doc Brown, he invents a time machine. And Star Trek, his ship is what the crew takes to go back in time in Star Trek 4. So somehow Christopher Lloyd is just the master of time travel because any vehicle he touches in a movie is how you get back into the past.
That's so cool.
Hold on. Boom.
Fair enough.
Did you notice who the other Klingon was, though? Did you see?
Well, there was like 10. Which one are you specifying?
John Larroquette was one of the other Klingons.
I didn't notice.
I didn't know that was him.
I looked up the IMDb and I was like, I totally missed it.
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to know what to look for because it is kind of a blink and you miss it, but kind of a
Yeah.
fun little connection there.
I didn't know that was him.
Fun
Wow.
fact: he was also paid a joint to be in this movie. Also,
Paint joints.
yeah, like with Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
They smoked out a bit. And like,
Oh, that's
wow, I'll be
right.
in
He
the
did the narration for Texas.
Did you know that?
No, I
John Larroquette did the opening narration for Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and his payment was one joint.
I did not know that.
Yeah,
Wow.
and he's like, "Perfect, I dig it. I'll do it."
We can for that price we can get him on the podcast.
Ooh, yeah,
Yeah.
But how can anyone get weed here?
I know, right? Man, it'd be cool if people had cars. That'd be neat.
But no, I mean, and that's the thing is I don't even dislike this movie overall. Like I think it's fine.
No,
I think it was just the thing that like I kind of expected it to wow me at some point. Like, I mean, even Wrath of Khan is not my favorite Star Trek movie, but I can see where it's very iconic for a lot of reasons. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, especially Ricardo Montalban. He's just such a hard villain to top in the whole
Yeah.
pantheon of
Oh,
Star
yeah.
Trek.
Yeah.
That to see this movie, which also, I guess this is that weird thing of seeing the parallels of modern Hollywood and old Hollywood. We see a lot of the legacy sequels that crib on the previous movies for like supporting their plot. There's so much of this movie that requires you not just to have seen Star Trek 2, but they like play whole clips and whole audio thing and repeat dialogue a lot. Where I'm just like, yes, I saw Star Trek 2. I remember. I was just, I kind of get to the point where I'm like, okay, it's not the worst, but I was just like, it made it feel like it stood on its own less. Like I feel like it's an addendum to Wrath of Khan because of that.
I see. So kind of like a coda, like Godfather 3.
No, seriously, it feels like it's one of those things where I'm like, oh, so
It's just misunderstood.
well, because the actual storyline probably could have been resolved in a normal episode of the show if it was still actually running at that time. Because it's like, yeah, the plot itself could have filled in maybe 40, 50 minutes, but it's then just given this feature length, duration. And I'm just like, ooh, I'm getting a little sleepy at a few parts in this movie.
What if you took Wrath of Khan in this one and cut portions out of both and made it one movie?
You know what? I actually think a supercut of this movie would be amazing. Like if you found a way to make like an epic length Star Trek movie with Wrath of Khan in this one, I think that would be an awesome, like, one of those fan edit like Topher Grace did back in the day with Star Wars.
Yeah.
That
That
actually
would be an
pretty cool.
interesting, that'd be an interesting exercise to see how that would turn out.
Yeah, because I mean, so much of this, like, again, continuing with the Genesis planet and a bunch of the other stuff that came in from the previous movie, it works almost better if you've just seen Wrath of Khan right before you see this.
And to defend this movie, I haven't seen Wrath of Khan.
Okay,
So-
so that went over your head with all that stuff.
Yeah,
then.
so I was kind of like filling in gaps as I went. So
yeah,
Well, and I think that's also where we have been trained nowadays with our media to be a little bit. I don't know what the word would be. We're used to legacy stuff. We're used to, okay, if you want to see the new Avengers movie, you have to see 5 Ant-Man movies, 3 Spider-Man. And back then, yeah, you might come in and I've never seen Star Trek, so I am going to be lost. How are we going to pepper in some stuff so that the new people that we're going to try to get to latch on? It was, I think, a more difficult ask maybe at the time than what we are used to now.
yeah. Well,
it's like Rocky. That's why they put the
yeah.
entire previous movie at the beginning of the next
Rocky
one.
2.
True. Yeah, but I think like even to say conversely, when we talked to 6, I think 6 actually worked a lot better standing on its own, even though it did have a giant plot point that kind of required you to watch 3 to get. But at the same time, I'm like, that one I feel like it's more organic to just jump in and engage the story without needing to know everything.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think that's a really good point. Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I've been yapping too much about this. But I want to hear something from people who like more of the
You're
stuff.
good. I like the back and forth. In fact, for all of our fans who are listening, or even if you're not our fan, that's fine.
Well, why are you listening then?
If you're listening, I want you guys to start commenting on this little back and forth dialogue here. This is good stuff. Do you like Star Trek 3 or do you think it's whatever?
So I will say I was liking Star Trek 3 because I had no point of reference.
Sure.
But then when I started watching Undiscovered Country, I was like, ooh, this is chugging along. This is this is really getting good. So I have not finished Undiscovered Country yet. I'm about halfway through. I got really busy. And I'll probably finish it tonight. But
I'm sorry if we spoil stuff.
Yeah, you
We
guys
probably
can
will
say
talk about
say
it.
whatever you want about it. It's fine.
yeah. I had 40 years to get to it.
That's right. That's right.
No.
What? He had a son and he died? What?
It would have been 35 years to get to it because that movie's
1991.
yeah, 1 year younger than me.
Yep.
So I'm not as deep as you guys are about. I've been a Trekkie my entire life. Grew up on Star Trek. Love it. Even the weird, stupid stuff or the hokey things or the whole whatever. But it's like it's just a part of who I am because it's like in my history, right?
Yeah.
And I like Star Trek 3 kind of a little bit for what you said is that I'm kind of the emotional guy in the movies. I like watching movies where there are emotional things that kind of draw me into it and pull me along in it. I like that sort of stuff. So, and then all the special effects and everything else, those are cool. I just want to be entertained.
Sure.
So,
Yeah.
So you're talking about emotion and stuff, and it reminded me of something I was thinking about when I was watching it. I was just like, all the chemistry that these characters have with each other, I bet this would mean a lot more to me if I had seen the previous two movies and I had seen the series, because it's almost like a reunion. You know, the ship is being decommissioned and all these characters have such a strong history with one another, and I do not know that history. Sure. So it's almost kind of like I am the new crewmate.
Yeah.
You know, I'm the one, I don't understand these people. I don't, know
Right.
what they've been through.
These characters have moved along with each other for years and years and years and created a lot of, movies and episodes and stuff. So,
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, but I think what really helps with that too, because correct me if I'm wrong. Harv Bennett, the writer, also wrote the previous Wrath of Khan, right?
Harv Bennett produced it. I thought Nicholas Meyer, who directed Star Trek II, I think they might have written it together.
Yeah, so I think they co-wrote it, but then I think
Yeah.
that's the thing where, like, because talking about what you're saying there is that continuity feeling. You clearly got the feeling that the people who make this story and the actors understand these characters and get each other too, and I think that's a thing that's carried a lot, especially through that original series.
Now, is Harv Bennett someone from the show?
No, so if I recall, he was brought in sometime after the first movie, because the first movie got a very tepid reaction with how slow and talky it was. So when Nicholas Meyer and a bunch of other people brought in, Harv was also brought in to help write a new story to keep the series going. And I guess they just liked what they did with Wrath of Khan enough that he kept writing for at least another movie or two, I think.
Okay.
Yeah, he the first movie it actually did really well at the box office, but
Box office, yes, yeah.
it did enough to warrant another film. But they kind of said they told Nicholas Meyer and Harv Bennett, if we'll make another one, but you have to bring it in way lower budget. So there's a lot of reused footage in Star Trek II from the first movie, and yeah, Harv Bennett, pretty smart, pretty savvy producer, and yeah, I just looked it up to make sure I was right. Story credit for Star Trek II, wrote Star Trek 3, and then helped on the story for 4 and 5.
Okay.
Yeah. So, and kind of an uncredited person in terms of keeping the franchise alive. It's easy to think of it now where there's been 5 billion Star Trek movies and TV
Right.
shows, but at the time it was a little bit more of a risky proposition. And he did a good job kind of keeping it going.
Yeah. Someone else who I thought, just thinking about people in the crew too, someone who really stood out in this movie, James Horner's music.
Oh,
I was thinking
yeah.
the same thing. There was times when I was like, "Ooh, this sounds like Aliens," because
Well-
I was hearing so many James
Because he
Cameron
used
cues.
a lot of the cues from this movie in Aliens.
Yeah,
Yeah, he
James
really
Horner
did.
is a recycler, or was a recycler for
I
sure.
do not care. I loved the soundtrack for this movie. I thought it was so good. And there was so many times where Christopher Lloyd was on screen and I was hearing Aliens music and I was like, "Ooh, this is cool, guys." I mean,
That's the thing is, it's funny because there's actually not a lot of music when you think about it too. There's a lot of just very quiet moments throughout this, but when the music comes in, it really comes in.
Right.
So I'm like, yeah, I know he recycles stuff all the time, but there's a reason James Horner made an impact the way he did when he was composing.
did he do
Well,
the
I actually
soundtrack?
like that he did. I actually like that he recycles because I always think it's fun to be watching a movie and go, like there,
I remember
there he
that.
is.
Yeah, I had a good time with the music. I was like, I saw James Horner in the credits. I was like, "Oh yeah, Aliens," and then I forgot about it. And then I was watching it, and then I heard some cues, and I was like, "Oh, that's right! I forgot he did the music for this." Did he do the rest of the series, or was he just 3 and that's it?
Just 2 and 3.
Yeah,
Really?
because then it was a different composer for 6. So
Yeah.
Okay. Bummer.
Nicholas Meyer, who directed Star Trek 2, wanted him to come back to do Star Trek 6, but I don't know why he said no. Interestingly enough, though, if you go on Spotify, I think it's on Spotify. At least it was back on the. I had the vinyl record and the CD soundtrack for Search for Spock. There's actually a disco track that's the theme from Star Trek 3. James Horner did like a. It's like a disco version.
That's neat.
Trying to make like a pop song, and it's kind of fun. So it's funny, kind of like Titanic, where he wrote "My Heart Will Go On." It's kind of a precursor to that type of thinking. It's kind of funny to listen.
That's really cool. Kind of like the disco Star Wars. You guys have heard that, right?
Oh yeah.
You guys have been to a roller rink. They're always playing that disco Star Wars music. Yeah, that's really cool.
No, but I mean, again, even faults and all with this movie, I think it still is good. Like, I mean, I've not seen Star Trek 5 all the way, but I've seen enough of it to know that it probably merits its reputation. But this is not like the worst Star Trek movie at all. I guess they just expected it to be a little bit more. Because then when we get to it, 6, I think, is a complete opposite, where I'm like, oh, it's over already? I was getting really into it.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah. 6, I think 6, again, 3 is my favorite, but I would make the argument that 6 is maybe the best put together, best story of all 6 of them.
Yeah.
It's not, again, well, maybe Christopher Plummer if anyone gives Ricardo Montalban a run for his money, I would argue maybe Christopher Plummer gets pretty close. And it's fun that he's the bad guy, since he, in real life, he and William Shatner was Christopher Plummer's understudy when they were both young actors.
Really?
And
Oh, wow.
the reason why William Shatner kind of got discovered is because Christopher Plummer got sick with a very PG-13 disease. I wasn't able to perform, and so William Shatner went on that night, and there was a talent scout in the audience. So kind of fun that they got to take all that baggage and use it in their performances there as Kirk and Chang.
That's great. I had not seen any of these Star Wars movies or Star Trek movies until today. However, I have seen bits and pieces of Undiscovered Country as a child.
Okay.
I remember we had this old wooden cabinet tube TV and the tracking was messed up on the left-hand side, and it was all in color except that one little side of the screen, which was in black and white, because it was someone had rubbed a magnet against it or something. I don't know.
This is what happens when you have kids.
Oh yeah, the brother that did that is long gone by now. Like, I don't even remember that kid's name. But I remember Dad watching Undiscovered Country on this old garbage TV. And the scene that I remember is where they're floating in the anti-gravity on their ship.
Oh, yeah.
And all the blood is floating around. And I remember thinking, oh, this is so cool. What movie is this? And then I remember seeing Christopher Plummer come on screen. No context whatsoever. And I was like, oh, that's a bad guy. He's got an eye patch. He's a bad guy.
Yeah.
Not just an eye patch apparently screwed into his face also.
Yeah. And so this led to a distrust with people with eye patches for many, many years afterwards.
We have a really good eye patch story. I'm not going to share it right this minute, but maybe after the podcast I'll tell you about it.
Oh, yeah. I don't know if we've talked about it on the podcast before.
We have not.
Yeah.
Well, so we just move on to 6. Anything else to say about 3 before we move on, or?
I thought it was cool. At first, I was missing Leonard Nimoy because I knew that he was a big part of the series, and then I realized he wasn't in this movie at all.
Not until the last,
until the very last couple scenes,
Right.
and I was like, I don't know, I dig it. I wasn't missing Leonard Nimoy at all. I kind of thought that kind of restraint to direct a movie and not put yourself in it was very admirable.
Yeah,
and probably necessary too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're going to be behind the camera trying to act and direct, I mean, when I'm making movies and I'm directing and I'm the cinematographer at the same time, even that just is absolutely exhausting.
Oh yeah.
So trying to be technical and direct a movie and then be artistic and act in the movie, That has to be exhausting.
Well, apparently the hardest scene he had to film was the scene where he was laying in the bed and closing his eyes. That's what he said, apparently, because he couldn't watch the screen anymore, so he had to just rely on DeForest Kelly to carry the scene and not have to micromanage him.
Yeah.
But no, so yes, that is correct.
And I would bet that, I mean, I would wager that that is probably why I think he was smart enough to go, I mean, I've done TV shows. I've never carried a $1 million, you know, a couple $1 million budget movie that's, you know, franchise. Like, I'm going to set things up so I could be as successful as possible.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would bet that's exactly what he was thinking.
So when he comes back for part 4, and I imagine he's in that a lot more,
Yes.
it's probably easier to do now that he's got that first feature under his belt.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, I actually even like the fact that in the opening credits, if you notice, there's a gigantic gap where his name's supposed to be in the opening credits too, just to make a point that he's missing from the movie.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
Oh yeah, it's just barely noticeable, but if you notice, it's Shatner, and then there's a big pause before they go into DeForest Kelly. Also.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
Huh.
so
That's
they made
cool.
sure that you knew that his presence was absent throughout that part at least.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I've never noticed that either.
Yeah. No, I looked it up on the trivia afterwards because I'm like, oh right, there was that weird little moment there.
I wouldn't even notice. I bet it was strictly psychological, that you weren't even supposed to notice that that's what it was.
Well, and there's all the sweeping images going on too. You're like, okay, I'm not really paying attention to the names right now because I know who all the people are. It's just,
Yeah.
it's William Shatner, DeForest Kelly, Nichelle Nichols, all of them.
Yeah.
So before we get to the last movie, unless you guys have something else to say about 3, two things. One, the Vulcan nerve pinch that I started talking about and then forgot what I wanted to say about it. My understanding is that Leonard Nimoy invented it.
Yeah, he did.
Because they needed a way so that he could battle people without being violent.
Yeah.
So I thought that was really cool that that's what he came up with.
Was that a Jewish thing too?
I wonder.
I need to ask my Jewish friends if they know about the neck pinch.
Like the Jewish mother that's getting a hold of the kid.
Yeah.
I know that it was because he thought, hey, this is a guy who's, you know, in control of his emotions. There's got to be a more, if this is even a way of doing things, a pacifistic way of confronting violence where he doesn't always have to be. I mean, he shoots a gun plenty of times in Star Trek, but more often than not, he does the brains over brawn thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
So then the other thing, just to jump into Chris Pine. How do you feel about the Chris Pine movies?
The Abrams verse or the Kelvin verse or whatever we call it.
Yeah.
You're sounding very pessimistic right now. Do you not like him?
I already know how he feels, I think. How do you feel?
I'll let him talk first.
I thought the first one was, I liked the first one because I'm not necessarily someone who is a purist or, you know, this is how it always has to be. And so I kind of liked some of the little things that they did to change it up and to, you know, make it fresh or whatever. And then the second one came out and I mean, I don't know that I've ever been at a movie where I have been shifting in my seat more uncomfortably, just getting angry the whole time.
Speaking of a movie that requires you to have seen a previous movie to enjoy it.
Well, yeah, and you know, again, going back to Nimoy, I think where Nimoy is an amazing actor is Spock has emotions. It's kind of a common misconception among people who aren't super nerds that Vulcans have no emotion.
Yeah.
They do. They just learn to suppress it and control it. And I feel like you really get that feeling with Leonard Nimoy through all 79 of the original episodes, all 6 movies. And I'm drawing a blank on the guy who plays Spock in the new movies.
Zachary Quinto.
Zachary Quinto. There's lots that's admirable about him, but holy cow, he doesn't hold a candle to Leonard Nimoy. He plays Spock with so much emotion that it's just kind of obnoxious to me.
They did a disservice having him actually share a scene with Nimoy to show you how much he contrasts between them too.
Yeah, I mean, I will say the third one I don't necessarily hate. I kind of like parts of the third one.
It's fine.
But I don't, you know, they're kind of one of those things where if I'm in a hotel on a business trip and one of them comes on, I might watch it for a few minutes. And I do own them. but I never watch them. I'll never watch them.
Okay.
Like by choice.
So
Are you a fan?
Yeah, and you haven't seen any of them, right?
I saw the first one,
Oh,
and
did you?
I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved that first
Yeah.
one.
It's a very good movie if you don't think too hard about the old films, where you're like, yeah, it's a very fun, well constructed, lots of great action scenes.
I had no context.
Exactly. I didn't either when I first saw it, so
I
yeah.
hadn't gotten Abrams fatigue yet from the Star Wars movies. So other than Lost, this was like the first J.J. Abrams thing I'd seen. So I didn't have a frame of reference from Star Trek. I wasn't annoyed with J.J. Abrams yet. So I jumped into that movie at the absolute perfect time for me.
Oh, sure.
And I don't think I haven't seen it since, and I haven't seen any of the sequels. But yeah, I had a good time with it.
Well, and funny enough, Star Trek 6 is actually maybe a good explainer to what my overall issues are. The first 6 Star Trek films and the original TV show, and even Next Generation, they're drawing a lot from Shakespeare, Melville, the Bible,
Philosophy. Yeah.
philosophy. They're digging from these great texts that have withstood the test of time. And the J.J. Abrams films are drawing from the Beastie Boys. And, and that's one of my favorite albums of all time, and I love the Beastie Boys, but like, it just feels like they're not drawing from as deep a well. And that certainly makes it more approachable, easier for my aunt when she saw when the J.J. Abrams movies came out, she was like, I get why you like Star Trek. I'm just like, I don't know. Maybe you don't, but I'm glad you enjoyed it. And so certainly it was a smart way to get new viewers, but it doesn't have the lasting power. I mean, Star Trek 6 is holy cow. I mean, it's a Shakespeare festival wrapped into a movie. So
Well, they're literally throwing Shakespeare quotes every other scene at you,
Yeah.
especially whenever Chang is on screen.
Right.
So,
yeah.
But I think the Abrams verse and all that, the Kelvin verse as it's called, like, I think it's more what happened after the movies that I'm not crazy about. With Discovery, Strange New
Yeah.
Worlds, Section 31 is like one of the worst Star Trek films ever created. So I don't know if you saw that one.
I haven't heard of that one.
It was a straight to Paramount movie they made set in the new, timeline
Continuity.
stuff. Yeah. It was a disastrous mess, like barely even a Star Trek film.
Huh.
So,
Interesting.
I heard Lower Decks is a lot of fun.
well, again, if you don't think of it as really Star Trek, because it's Star Trek via Rick and Morty, basically. No, I'm not kidding. That's literally what they're doing. The
I
Star
like
Trek.
Rick and Morty though.
Yeah, but I don't know if Rick and Morty and Star Trek, at least the classic Star Trek, really mesh well together. And that's just my problem. Like, I agree with Matt and all that stuff. Is that I like the old school vibe of that kind of heady, philosophical.
It had its own
approach.
language.
Yeah, and I feel like the
Yeah.
new Trek, all the stuff that's been going on with Alex Kurtzman and the people running it currently, they don't get Trek. They claim they do. They just do not get Trek.
Yeah.
I mean, now they just canceled that other show that just came out, the Starfleet Academy.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
thank goodness on that one.
Well, keep in mind, people who would jump into Star Trek now are going to have to start probably somewhere newer. They're not going to go back in time and watch older stuff. And they also have to compete with TikTok.
Sure, but that's the problem. I feel like, I mean, again, not trying to be a purist and elitist and that stuff, but I feel like if you're going to make your own thing, like be its own thing, why do you need the Star Trek label for it? Like, if you're not going to
Yeah.
make classic Trek, don't use Star Trek. Make your own TV show. And that's when I talk about the legacy stuff, that's more the stuff that bothers me. Where they're like, oh, you like Star Trek, so you'll like our show. And it's like, well, your show is not Star Trek.
And you can look at the 60s TV show and what's the episode? There's an episode where they pick up like a hippie band. Like it's like all these space hippies with guitars and space alien guitars, but there's hippies, there's go-go boots, there's all this 60s stuff,
Sure.
but the language on the show, none of the characters saying, hey man, groovy, far out. Like they're not using 60s vernacular. And it drives me absolutely insane that the new shows, it's like I'm watching a modern TV show. There's nothing nuanced or fun about the writing. It's just, I think it's going to be more dated. When we flash forward 60 years from now, I think that the 60s show, yes, the sets will look more dated even still, but if you took the script, it will be less harshly judged than scripts from now, where it's like this just reads like something that was written clearly in 2026.
Right.
Okay, I'm glad that we can find common ground on this. I was worried. I'm like, oh, 3, I ruined her. No, but no,
No way, man. No way.
I absolutely agree with you on that stuff.
Yeah.
So to answer your question, I love the Chris Pine stuff.
Yeah.
I love all of them. Yeah.
And do you like Chris Pine's performances? Like, what is it about him that you find enjoyable?
That's a good question. I like
That's not a trick question. I'm not trying to
right.
trap you on that either.
Well, now I'm trying to think, why do I like it so much?
Because if someone gave you a bowl of candy, you'd be happy. But then if someone's like, hey, I got more candy for you, you don't care what kind of candy it is. It's more candy. Why would you complain?
I don't know what that means, but anyways. But I like Chris Pine. I think he's awesome as Captain Kirk.
Yeah.
And a lot of the other characters, I love the idea of them it's almost like we're going to go back in time and we're going to look at these characters when they're younger. And I know that it's not the exact same universe.
Yeah.
But still, it's like I'm watching the younger version of these characters that I grew up with.
Yeah.
And I'm watching them now develop and stuff. So, yeah.
It helps they're all already good actors, too.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, even some people got famous through that stuff, but even like Carl Urban had already proved himself before this. Chris Pine, to some extent, also proved himself a little bit before this.
Right.
Pinto did. They're already good performers working with these characters anyway.
Right.
So.
Yeah, but Carl Urban's Carl Urban is a great Dr. McCoy. I think he does a phenomenal job.
I love it.
Funny enough, I love Simon Pegg, but there was actually a fan series on YouTube where they made 60s style Star Trek episodes, and James Doohan's son plays Scotty.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, he's really freaking good. And I think Simon Pegg does great as Scotty too, but it's just funny to me that this non-actor, but who is the real world son of Scotty,
right,
does awesome. That's kind of fun.
Dude, Carl Urban's great. He could be cast as Barney the Purple Dinosaur, and I would follow him to the ends of the earth.
That'd be a very Grady Barney.
So, Undiscovered Country.
Yes.
Right.
Okay, yeah, so I hopefully we'll get on the same page here, too. I also have lots of great things.
Hey,
I have a lot of good things to say about
we can be on completely opposite planets, and I'll be fine.
This one sucked. I'm just kidding.
That's my line.
You talked about that scene with the blood, and holy cow, I still have a very visceral memory of my dad took me and my little brother to this movie in the movie theater. And when that scene hit, I know it sounds silly now, but we weren't used to CGI. It just wasn't a thing. And so it was just what did they do to make that?
How'd they do that?
It was such a cool, And I remember getting in the car, driving home, and my dad talking about it. And, any time that someone had a grape soda or anything purple for the next 5 years, it was, a reference to the Klingon blood in that movie.
Yeah. Which reminds us of a word from our sponsor, Grape Crush.
No, actually, I'm glad someone else said it too, because when I saw that scene, I'm like, it is a really well done scene, but I just couldn't help thinking that a bunch of grapes were spewing out of them whenever they got shot. Just
Well, and what's funny is that in Star Trek canon, that's the only time that I can think of where Klingons have purple blood. Yeah, any other time you see it, they have red blood. So
right,
one of those kind of funny.
Huh.
Well, because that's interesting, because they're always consistent with the Vulcans having green blood. So I didn't know if that was the case, because I'm like, I don't recall them ever having purple blood like that before.
Yeah, I could be wrong, but I don't think you see them cut their hands a lot on Deep Space Nine, the Klingons, because they do a little blood ritual thing.
Right.
You see it, and it's always red. So okay.
And,
but I'm okay. See, that's the stuff where I'm okay. Fine, it's purple for one movie. We can move on.
Deep Space Nine, that takes place after these, right? Because the treaty between the Klingons and the Federation has already happened.
Yeah, so this is right before Next Generation, and then Deep Space Nine is after that. So
okay,
yeah.
So Generations is the handoff.
Yes.
Correct.
Yeah. There's a 75-year gap from 70-ish, 75-year-ish gap from end of Star Trek 6 to the first episode of Next Generation.
Okay.
So you
Oh.
see Dr. McCoy in The Next Generation in the first episode, and he's 100 and something years old.
Oh, geez.
Is that
Spock's
true?
still alive? Yeah.
Is that true? Because Shatner and Picard were in Generations together, and Shatner wasn't. I mean,
Time
travel.
Time travel.
Oh, right. I forgot that.
Yeah.
Okay, yes, that is correct.
And then there's a
Yeah.
British person in it. What's his name?
Doesn't matter.
Malcolm McDowell.
Malcolm McDowell.
That's okay. I was gonna say I know he's in one of them.
So
I am a British man.
yes, that's what I'm talking
From
about.
South Park.
It's from South Park. Yeah,
Yes.
he's sitting there with his book, getting ready to read Charles Dickens, and goes, "Hello, I'm a British person." I watched that yesterday.
Right.
Yeah.
But yes. So
Well, so
Right.
yeah, in this case, Leonard Nimoy wrote the story. He had a pretty heavy hand in the creation of what was going to happen to these characters in this movie. And again, I just really appreciate the fact. I mean, this does not paint Captain Kirk in a very positive light. He's kind of a jerk at the beginning of this movie, and
Oh, yeah.
not even saying this from 2026, looking back, saying racism is bad. And it's like, no, when this came out in 91. When Kirk says, "Let the Klingons die," it's kind of like, dude,
Ooh,
like,
yeah.
really?
Right.
Like, that's not a very evolved way of being. And I love that it goes there, though. I love that I don't know. I think it's a really bold choice to make,
Right.
to take your hero and make him a jerk.
Yeah. And you said that this is like the direct repercussion of 3, where he's finally working through that emotion that you feel we didn't see in 3, that we're seeing it in 6.
They
Did
killed
they-
his son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did they not address that in the movies in between?
Not really.
no,
Really?
I mean, David was not exactly a popular character with anybody, to be honest. But I feel like this was the best way they could have done it, where not just like I'm sad for my son, but they internalized, like you were saying, with the whole conflict with his his xenophobia, racism, however you want to say it, that's rooted in the anguish with his son's death, and that felt so organic here. I feel like that really
Yeah.
worked to make it, like say like, oh, racism bad, but it's like no, you understand why people feel this way, especially from life experience, and that made a lot of sense in the
Yes.
storytelling here.
So
That's why you can have such a strong. Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to ask. So there's no Klingons in between.
There are.
3.
Oh, there are.
3 and there are.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, the Klingon, they're a staple to the entire franchise. Like,
There's like a passing reference in 5 where they say, "Oh, we're probably going to bump into the Klingons, and they don't like you." And Captain Kirk's like, "Yeah, I don't like them either." Like, I mean, but it's not really a direct reference to David being killed by him. It's not until this movie that you get that.
yeah, they have plenty of reasons to not like Klingons before this, to be fair.
Yeah.
So,
But
I was
Go
going to say,
ahead.
it almost feels like you could skip 4 and 5.
I barely
And-
noticed.
And this could act as a sequel to 3, right?
I mean, I think in some ways that's pretty fair. I mean, I think the only thing that you really need to know in 4 is they get a new Enterprise after Star Trek 3. In the 4th movie, at the very end, they get a new Enterprise. So, but you can figure that out pretty quick if you just watch Star Trek 6.
They blew that thing up in 3.
Yeah.
So yeah, they needed to know.
Every single Star Trek movie, they destroy the Enterprise and have
more
to
or
start
less.
over.
I mean, in the Chris Pine ones, they only destroyed it fully that one time at the end.
Yeah.
It takes a beating in most of the movies,
Yeah.
But I just appreciate there is something comfort food, I guess, about Star Trek where you can watch any episode out of order and you're not really going to get lost. There is kind of that, even the movies, it's not like there's a huge shift in dynamics. And maybe because this was at the time going to be the last Star Trek movie with all of those cast, they said we can maybe put in a heavier character arc here. So you see William Shatner being xenophobic, you see him being racist, and like you said, Justin, you kind of get why. I mean, not to defend it, but you at least understand it. And so then you can go along this ride, and at the end, when he overcomes those feelings, it's a very satisfying conclusion.
Yeah, it feels earned because he's actually
Yeah.
wrestled with it in himself. Like not
Yes.
just through a direct. Like, I mean, there's lots of speeches too, but you see him through the plot processing these moments, and I think that
Yeah.
makes it more impactful. And again, it's like that's what I wished happened in 3, but I get that there was a whole other story with 3 with Spock coming back. So it's like here they really let that plot point breathe.
Well, and you have Christopher Plummer as the bad guy Klingon, but you also have David Warner as kind of Gorbachev stand-in for the Russian U.S. Analogy there. And he's such a great, you can tell they purposefully modeled him after Abraham Lincoln to give that feeling of someone who is a wise, forward thinking person. And so you have those great moments between him and William Shatner that kind of start doing some of the footwork for you, so that when William Shatner's wrestling with it, he's at least had a couple positive experiences with Klingons, to get him through it.
Yeah, there's a lot of big actors in this one. We even have Kurtwood Smith in there.
I know. I did not recognize him at first. I'm like, oh.
I didn't recognize him until he said "bitches leave" and pointed again. I'm just kidding. That's
the director's cut.
Dude, I love him in RoboCop.
Oh yeah.
Can you fly, Bobby?
One of the most quotable action movies ever made.
Oh, so good.
He's actually a pretty he's not a lightweight. This was his first Star Trek thing, but he's in a ton of Star Trek episodes.
Really?
I think he's, man, I don't know. I don't know that he was ever in Next Generation, but he's in at least 2 episodes of Deep Space Nine, at least 2 episodes of he's in a lot of Star Trek stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he probably would have been doing 70s show around the same time too.
Yeah.
So then that probably was a lot of crossover with jumping onto other shows and doing other things he was doing.
I would love to see that 2170 show where he plays that character and he's got his son.
Kirk's dad.
with his giant Fu Manchu mustache that he does.
Well, did you see the other one that is always kind of funny to me is Christian Slater?
Yeah. I was like, wait, that guy looks... Is that Christian Slater?
In Undiscovered Country?
Yeah, he had that quick cameo where he's just a random foot soldier on the ship, and you're like,
I didn't even notice.
It's because his mom was a casting agent for the movie.
Yep, Mary Jo Slater.
Mary Jo Slater. And if you watch True Romance, it's fun because they obviously have a big conversation. Christian Slater is a huge Star Trek nerd, and so I think it was him telling his mom, like, I don't care what I do, like, you got to get me in there somehow.
And his scene was very short, but it was very Christian Slater.
Well, the fact that he's just sounded like Jack Nicholson the entire time. So
yes.
Like, hey there.
I must have missed that. I'm gonna have to go back.
It's a blink and you miss it.
Yeah,
cameo.
Very quick. So no, but yeah, there's a lot of big names in like the supporting cast. I mean, this is the first time we see Michael Dorn in the Star Trek as well, right?
Yep.
Is this the same Worf?
Yes.
He's playing his grandfather.
Oh, right.
So it's
yes.
Worf's grandfather.
Okay.
Right, time travel. I gotta keep remembering that. I'm like, right, the time travel is the bridge there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, but no, I was just like, hey, I mean, he's great. I really liked Iman in the movie, playing the shapeshifter.
Yeah.
That's
not there yet.
Oh, so you haven't gotten there. She's future Mrs. Bowie. So David Bowie's wife.
Just so you liked her.
Well,
you did like her.
I thought she was good. Like, I mean, she's there for a very specific purpose to be the hot, deceptive lady kind of thing.
Sure.
But I'm like, I thought her acting was fine. I thought she just had a really cool design and a cool role to play in the movie. I think. So
I didn't like her.
Okay. I knew that was coming.
What was it you didn't like about her?
I don't know. For some reason, I just didn't like that character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they needed someone else to interact with in the prison. So it's like, okay, I guess hot lady will be the one to interact with.
It was like, they stuck her in there so that somebody could kiss Shatner.
And
that was.
But that also leads to one of the best lines in the movie when Shatner and her make out for a second. And then Dr. McCoy sits up in his bed, just goes, "What is it with you?"
Right.
I do just lovely.
Well, it made it even funnier when she shapeshifts into Shatner during their fight scene. And just like, I kind of like this.
Now that was fun. Yes.
Yeah, I love that whole fight. That was great.
Yeah. I think it's a good, I joke about this. I teach an editing class as well. And one of the things I show is THX had this promotional video that they did back in the early 90s where they took all these clips of Star Wars, Indiana Jones, Willow, and they kind of just mash it up into this great 5-minute thing. It's designed to sell TVs, but the last shot in the promo is the shot from from the Third Raiders movie,
Last
Crusade.
Yeah.
Where they're riding off into the sunset. And I always just say, if you're ever making a movie or a trilogy or a series and you can end on this shot, just call it quits there. And I think that's, I love that Star Trek 6, they literally ride off into the sunset.
Yep.
They do the signature thing, which was then the Avengers movie. That's actually a little tribute in Avengers Endgame when you have all the actors signing their names at the end is a reference to Star Trek 6. It's a great way to end the series, really.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. No, but actually one person I forgot to mention in this, and also just thinking back to even with 3, someone who I thought really stood out here was Kim Cattrall as the other Vulcan lady.
Yeah.
Oh
Polaris.
yeah.
I know, which, again, a Sex and the City actress just out there. I'm like,
Right.
oh, I recognize her. But it made me think how she was an interesting comparison to Saavik from 3, which
Mhm.
I didn't even realize. I'm like, wait, wasn't she played by Kirstie Alley? And it's like, oh right, they recast her for that movie.
Right.
But here I felt like this was a better version of that kind of character because obviously she had way more agency in the plot for that kind of stuff too. But I liked the angle that they went with that. Just with her characterization and how she plays into the story, which I don't want to completely spoil for you, Tabor, what happens there because it's a pretty big reveal.
Well, and it was supposed to be Saavik.
I got that vibe that should have been Saavik.
They wanted, at least Nicholas Meyer wanted it to be Saavik, and I think it was Leonard Nimoy who said, Saavik is too beloved. We can't have it. Yeah, sorry. She's a bad guy.
Traitor.
but said, yeah, we need to do something about this character where we can have her be a Saavik type, but we can't have it be Saavik.
Yeah, which is probably the best move,
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
That kind of, you guys are talking about that, and it makes me think of, there's something I watched a little bit ago where there's a character who was a beloved character for many, many years, and then out of nowhere does a heel turn. And I'm trying to remember what.
Mission Impossible? No.
It could have been.
Well, that's a noble one for that case. But
that's all done in the first movie, isn't it?
Well, it's because it's the character is the same lead character from the old show, and then they suddenly make him a bad guy. So,
okay.
But there's other. I'm sure. I know there's probably other ones you're thinking about too. Or I'm just like,
yeah. And I remember thinking like, why? You just needed the drama. You just made him flip for some reason. I'm trying to remember what the show was. It's on the tip of my tongue. I'll think about it.
Yeah, no, they do that trope a lot. But I mean, yeah. So I think it's better here that they have a standalone character who's the villain in this case. But
yeah,
just generally speaking, I think just the plot of this movie works really well. And I guess maybe the secret ingredient was Nicholas Myers in this case because it feels like he had a great way to keep it both character and plot driven. Where Search for Spock, in my opinion, I feel like that's really drawn out to be all about this, Spock. It's really all about bringing him back. Where here they're juggling a lot of thematic points, but the plot feels character motivated for the most part. Like there's action and reaction to keep things going, and that's where I feel like it's a really well focused story in that case.
So one thing I did is I asked ChatGPT. I said, "Give me your assessment of Star Trek 3 and Star Trek 6." ChatGPT says Star Trek 3 is messy, emotional, and almost reckless. Star Trek 6 is polished, political, and reflective. So,
yeah,
you can't trust AI. I mean, how much you watch Terminator 2? Like,
we'll be right back with a new episode of My Dad's AI podcast.
Well, it turns out that I have been AI this entire time. So
your inflections were a little off there. I noticed.
The other thing I love, we talked about Christian Slater's mom putting him in the movie. The other thing I kind of think is pretty fun in relationship to Leonard Nimoy, Nicholas Meyer also, well, first of all, he did another movie called Time After Time, which is awesome. But he's a big Sherlock Holmes nerd. Like, as much as I'm into Star Trek, Nicholas Myers is into Sherlock Holmes. And he's written one of the only fan fiction Sherlock Holmes that's kind of accepted as canon by purists. And he threw in the line where Spock says, "An ancestor of mine once said, whatever, when you remove the impossible, whatever remains, however improbable, must be the truth."
Right.
And he did that. There's this kind of apocryphal thing in Star Trek that Spock's ancestor is Sherlock Holmes, and he put that line in there to kind of be like, yeah, he is. I kind of love that he just did that for himself. It's kind of cool.
And that's why his plot line just becomes a mystery story for that whole point. Where you're just like, okay, sure, he's just breaking down the evidence, trying to look for clues, looking down all this stuff.
I recognized that line, and I was like, oh, I know that from somewhere. I was like, oh, I'm watching Star Trek, so it's got to be from Star Trek. So I had totally forgotten that it was actually Sherlock
Sherlock Holmes, yeah.
So that's really cool.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Chang throughout the entire movie is just, like I said, just throwing Shakespeare quotes every other chance he can get. And just like, oh, here's one from Hamlet. Here's one from Hamlet. Here's one from Macbeth. Here's another one from this one.
We need elbow room.
Yeah. Earth Hitler 1938. That's another great line.
You know what? That's one thing I actually thought there was some pretty funny scenes in this movie too. Like, again, the stuff with Emma and the stuff with that, just there's a lot of great, it's a great balancing act, I feel like.
Right.
I thought that was funny a line because, he obviously plays Papa Von Trapp, who is particularly anti-Nazi. So,
Yeah.
Well, the other thing too, and we kind of hinted at this with talking about some of the other ones, but I think, to jump franchises for a second, I love Return of the Jedi when they go to attack the Death Star and it's all the dog fights, it's all the stuff flying around. But I kind of love when Star Trek is submarine battles, and there's not a ton of dynamic, you don't see ships dipping around or anything, but I love the final battle sequence between Captain Kirk and General Chang and their two respective ships, where it's very Hunt for Red October. It's very, Run Silent, Run Deep. It's just a great submarine battle in outer space. And I think it does a really good job being a very suspenseful scene without being.
That's right.
It doesn't try to compete with Return of the Jedi in terms of numbers of ships and things like that.
Isn't that battle, they do it in some, like a nebula or something, don't they?
That's in the second one. Yeah, that's in Khan. They
do that. Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the battle scene for this one though?
This one is Captain Kirk is back on the ship. They make it to the planet where the peace treaty is happening, and Christopher Plummer's character wants to stop him from getting to the planet.
That's right.
And they have the cloaked prototype. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they have the cloaked ship that can fire, which is kind of fun.
Yeah, no, I thought that was some really clever stuff, and then having to find out how can they track it if they can't see it out there, kind of thing. So.
Which is very reminiscent of the Caterpillar Drive.
Yeah,
from
exactly.
Red October, yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, I thought that was really, and that's one thing I do like
They
about Star
just
Trek.
stole a movie.
But Star Trek is not it can have good action, but it's not driven to have the giant spectacle action. It's much more character driven action in a lot of cases. Even with big ships, it's more about the people in the ships, outmaneuvering and outflanking each other, rather than just we're going to send a fleet to go blast at stuff, kind of
Right.
thing.
Yeah.
I mean, they do have an exception. I mean, when they fight the Borg cube, it's just flowing a bunch of ships to destroy that thing.
And that's awesome. I love that too.
Oh, that's a great scene.
Yeah, but there's something kind of cool about having. Again, it's more of a chess game than I don't know what something
it's a battle of
crazier than a
wits.
chess game.
Yeah, it's a battle of wits more than it is about technology or numbers kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. I got a lot of great things to say about this movie, but I've been talking a lot again too. So
You're good.
What do you guys think, Mick?
About the movie?
About this microphone. What do you think?
Yeah, I love the movie. Yeah. In fact, I was thinking about one of my favorite scenes. They're on trial just before they have to go to Rorpente. And who is Plummer?
Yeah.
Christopher Plummer. Yeah.
Christopher Plummer is he's the he's not the, well, they've got Worf.
General Chang, the villain.
They got him as the plaintiff.
Right.
Oh,
Or
yeah. Yes, the court scene.
Right.
What
That whole scene there, the whole dialogue, everything, even they have all the Klingons up there, up on the walls and stuff, and in the stadium. That whole scene, I thought, this is really, really cool how they did this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love the way they communicated visually about the translators too, where you see them speaking the scenes, then you see them listen to the translator devices, and then it cuts back to them speaking English. So that way they go over that barrier problem of how do you have these people communicate and how do you show that in film language.
Right.
So Hunt for Red October again. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, a lot of Hunt for Red October in this movie.
The other great part about that is, there is a pretty big Chernobyl kind of parallel here where we're talking about the collapse of the Soviet Union and how the Klingon Empire is kind of going through the same thing. And one of Christopher Plummer's lines, and now I'm drawing a blank on the Russian he's quoting, but at one point he gets fired up in the speech and he says, "Don't wait for the translation, answer me now."
Right.
And that was from the Cuban Missile Crisis when one of the Russians was at the UN and got heated and said the same. Like they just took that line out of real life, and I think what a great way to kind of tie it back into our own unfortunate history.
Right.
This is what I admire about film and intellectual property. And I think Star Wars does it well sometimes, and sometimes they don't, where it's such a big universe. Why would you keep rehashing the same characters over and over when you can go, like, one of my favorite stories in Star Wars is Death Troopers, which is it's a horror story about these kids whose father passes away, and they're put on a slave ship by the Empire. And this slave ship comes across a Star Destroyer that is just floating in space. So they're tasked to go onto the Star Destroyer and investigate what happened, what is going on here. And all the stormtroopers are zombies. And so it's a virus that turns them into these rabid, zombie stormtroopers. And I was like, this is incredible. This is a story that is just a one-off thing. It's taking place in the Star Wars universe, and there's a couple of like recognizable things like the stormtroopers and stuff like that, but you don't need, there's a part where you run into two characters and you're like, wait a minute, these characters are starting to sound familiar. And then one of the characters goes, what do you think, Chewbacca? And I was like, oh, okay, now you pulled me out of it. And it turns out to be Han Solo and Chewbacca on one of their, pre-New Hope adventures. But before that, I was just like, ooh, this is so cool. And I think Star Trek can do that too, where, just tell a one-off story, introduce some new characters, and have fun with the universe. And you don't have to pull everybody else into it and, sink,
Yeah, but I think on the same point, I think this movie does a great job giving closure to a lot of the story. Like, we'll obviously see Shatner again in Generations, but I think for a lot of these characters, they found a good way where it's like, okay, it's good to see these characters again, but at this point, they knew not to just drag it out. They're just like, okay, we're going to have enough. Because, after 5, they really needed this one to land because people were really not happy with 5. So this one, they were at least going, okay, we need one last actual proper hurrah, not a final frontier, whatever. We need something more than this.
So let me dial in real quick because
go ahead.
It probably sounded like I was rambling about something unrelated.
No.
But what I meant, let me bring it back home and tighten it up a bit, is that each of these Star Trek movies is something entirely different. Even though they do have the same characters, each story is a different type of story.
Yeah.
And I think that's what I enjoy, is that even though you have Kirk and you have Spock, this one is like almost like A Few Good Men. You have a courtroom scene, there's an investigation, there's a mystery, and you can put all these cool characters into other different scenarios, and it doesn't have to be, the same ABC.
Yeah.
It can be entirely different, and this one feels entirely different, and I think that's what I like about it.
Yeah,
Well,
it is almost more of a political thriller in a way that just happens to be in outer space than a space opera. I mean, it's funny that, and not to get too far off the point, but lots of people have problems with the Star Trek TV series Enterprise, which was kind of the last one of the classic era of Trek. But they, I think, did some of the best. Some of their episodes, you need zero knowledge of Star Trek. They're kind of like the Han Solo. There's always that little part where you go, okay, I get it. This is,
Right.
But there's an episode called Carbon Creek, which just tells a story about 3 Vulcans who crash land on Earth in the 50s and how they try to blend in. And that's it. There's no other stakes where it doesn't, them tying into the greater mythology doesn't really happen. It's just this great little one episode where you just go, that was awesome.
Is that one with
job.
Is that with Bakula?
Yeah,
Okay.
with Scott Bakula.
Yeah. Well, and that's the sign of a really strong IP. Like when you have the right people in place, where you can take literally any story or any character or whatever, and you can focus on them, and it's still compelling.
Yeah.
Like you see that with like the best of comic books or the best of any movies or TV shows, where you can do a full detour and you'll not even remember. You're like, oh right, these aren't the main characters. And that's, like Doctor Who would do that often, where one of my favorite episodes is the Blink episode, and Doctor Who doesn't show up until like 2 scenes in that whole thing.
Yeah.
And you're
That's
like,
a good one.
oh, I didn't even need Doctor Who in this. This is already a
Right.
great story on its own.
Yeah.
There's that one X-Files where it's just about the cigarette smoking man.
Yeah.
And it's a phenomenal episode that's completely that one actually does tie into a bunch of other episodes, but it's almost like you're seeing what happened in scenes that you didn't see in those episodes. And it's just really well done.
Yeah. So no, and that's what I was saying. Like when I was comparing 3 and 6, where I'm like, 3 really does depend on you knowing and liking Wrath of Khan to really enjoy it. But I feel like this one is a great one where even though it's the end of the whole franchise for the original series, it's a great story. You can just jump in and you're pretty much caught up with everything.
Right.
Like even if you didn't see David's son's death, the death of David in the story, you get his feelings towards it just by the way they write it in the story.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that works great.
Absolutely.
All right.
I'm glad I like that movie.
Where we at?
I was worried. I'm just like, no. After 3, I was just like, oh boy, I got another one. And I just remember like 15 minutes in, I'm like, okay, I'm in. I dig this a lot.
I was digging it. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
Anything else we want to talk about for those? Or are we good? Are we feeling
I
good?
think we've covered all my stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Nice.
the only thing I would add is just that I do like Christopher Plummer in the movie. He's not exactly a tremendous villain. I mean, he's good for the antagonist that he set in place, but he's just, again, as I think I said earlier, that Montalban was such a great villain as Khan that they really, really tried to find other villains to fill his shoes.
Right.
So like Plummer's probably the closest, but I mean, he's just another version of Krug, just a better version in
Right.
that case, I would say.
Right.
yeah.
I know you're shaking your
Justin,
head. I'm
We
sorry.
were ending on such a good note.
I had to get it out. That was like
the only.
that was the only thing I wasn't crazy about is that like I like Plummer, I just didn't like his character a whole lot. But I'm like, it's still not bad.
We were almost done, and he pulled us
I
back.
know.
in.
Jeez.
Pull him back in.
Our true enemy has not yet revealed himself.
So
We
let's.
still haven't talked about The Godfather on this podcast.
Yeah, we got time. We'll get to it. What was the movie that you were talking about at the beginning that is your favorite?
Ghostbusters.
Ghostbusters. Okay, so we're gonna have to have you back on for a Ghostbusters
Absolutely.
episode. Okay.
I would
You
love
can't
it.
just talk about Ghostbusters 2. You got to talk about the other Ghostbusters. Because, I mean, anyone can talk about how Ghostbusters 2 is weaker than 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So let's letterbox these. Let's grade them.
Okay.
All right.
So we're rating this 1 through 5 drops of Klingon blood.
Sure.
Should we count half stars as well? Or?
Half
We-
stars.
We do
Yeah.
halvesies. Yeah. So I guess we'll start with Justin.
Justin.
Mr. Hater over here, yeah. No, I would say like if I had to letterbox score them 3, I would give it like a 2.5 out of 5. I know, blasphemy, sorry, but that's just my personal opinion. Didn't hate it. Thought it had some good parts. Just wasn't thrilled. Undiscovered Country, I'd probably rank about a 4 because
Oh,
I mean,
nice.
again, with those few squibbles I have, I thought it was just entertaining all the way through, and I think that's a big thing. Like where Star Trek is slower. And being slow is not a problem with Star Trek, but you still have to have a hook. You need to have something that latches onto. And I think when I say 4 stars, for 6 had just a great hook to it with the whole intrigue and the mystery stuff. And I'm like, you know what? I'm in. I'm curious. I want to find out what the answer is.
Right on.
So yeah, so that's a 2.5 and a 4. But I guess for the first one, it's a 2.5. Scary looking dog puppets.
Yeah.
And then
Yeah.
for Star Trek 6, it's 4 out of 5 scary looking masks on a dog.
Shoot. All right. So I'm trying to remember who had the dog. Was that
Well, it was
Christopher
Krug.
Lloyd?
Yeah, Krug had
Christopher
the
Lloyd.
dog in the first one, but then there was that other dog in the prison planet. and
Oh
it's very-
yeah.
yeah, and it's very clearly a dog with a mask and a little costume thing on it. I get alien dogs are a hard design.
Right.
Which is like an homage to Invasion of the Body Snatchers.
Oh, with the guy with the face on
Oh,
it.
yeah.
The dog.
Yeah, that
What's that guy's name? Grateful Dead. Jerry Garcia.
Oh,
that's
yeah.
a Jerry Garcia
Oh.
mask.
I think Jerry Garcia is the homeless guy who morphs into the dog.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
I think. I might be wrong.
Good grief. That's creepy. That weirded me out when I was a child.
Yeah. It's amazing they have those alien dogs in there. They don't really do anything. They're just there to go, oh, isn't that creepy looking?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's Jerry Garcia. That's all right.
Nice.
Oh, okay.
Shouldn't doubt myself.
All right. Letterboxing. Who's next?
So I'm going to go next.
Yeah.
So I'm going to grade number 3. I would give it 3.5 Klingon blood splats out of 5. And for number 6, I loved the story and the characters. I would give it 4.5 blood splats, but I'd probably throw in one eye patch that's drilled into your head just to top it off.
Are we going to finish with the eye patch story on our way out of here?
We can do that if you want.
After we rank these movies here. All right, so I will give Search for Spock a 2.5 also. But I don't know. I didn't think it was. I don't think 2.5 should be anything to look down upon, because 3, and even 3 means it's a good, enjoyable movie. Sure. I think anything lightly under 3, it's still an enjoyable movie. I think once you start getting into like 1 and half, 1.5, those are bad movies. I did not think this was a bad movie. It just wasn't piquing my interest as much as Undiscovered Country was. And I'm really digging Undiscovered Country, but I've not finished it. So I will sit out of this one and not rank this one.
Yeah, if you haven't seen Iman scenes yet, you still got quite a bit to go in the story.
Yeah.
All right.
I mean, this is where Letterboxd fails me a little bit. I would, because I think there should be kind of 2 settings. And this is because I was a video store clerk for so many years. If I'm doing it on my personal rank and taste, they're both going to be 5s. If I'm a video store clerk, though, and someone says, I want to watch a Star Trek movie, I would probably still agree that 3 is about a 3. I don't have the heart to go down lower than that, but I would say Star Trek 6 is a 4, where I would pretty easily recommend Star Trek 6 to someone who has never watched Star Trek before and say, there's a pretty good chance you're going to enjoy this one. You will not like Star Trek 3. So, but that's kind of how I would look at it.
I like what you did there. Recommending it as a video store clerk. That's something that we've not looked at before.
No.
I love The Godfather, and it's probably my 5-star movie. But there's some people that I would not recommend it to. Like, I watched it with my wife, and there's the scene where Virgil Sollozzo is like in the Christmas tree lot, and he's talking to Tom Hagen, and my wife goes, "Ooh, Christmas trees." And I was like, okay, we're done. I was like, you are not paying attention to any of this. I was like, yeah, you're done. So that's an interesting way to look at it. Like, this is a movie that you will defend with your whole heart, but you understand that it might not be for everyone. And as a video store clerk, you might not recommend it.
Yeah.
To be fair, I've had some really weird recommendations from video store clerks too, so I don't always know their names on stuff.
I recommended to my brother a movie called Escape from Neverland. It was a guerrilla filmmaking movie that was shot in Disneyland.
Yes, that one.
Oh, yeah. I know the one you're talking about.
I have that on Blu-ray. I still have not watched it yet.
So my brother asked me, he's like, "Hey, is this a good movie?" And I was like,
Which one?
Alec.
Okay.
And he said, "Is this a good movie?" And I was like, "Well, to be completely fair, I had a really, really high fever, and I had just taken some medication. So that movie was...
So it was awesome.
You were the exact right mindset for that movie.
So that movie was an absolute fever dream for me. And in his Letterboxd review, he explains that story. He says, my brother took medication and said it was an absolute fever dream. And he goes, I, in fact, did not take medication, and it was still a fever dream to me.
That's the only thing I've heard is just that it's more impressive about... It's a guerrilla movie made in Disneyland more than it is actually like a movie you want to watch. It's like,
you appreciate what was done to make the movie more than it being a good movie. Yeah.
Just trying to explain what the plot is about. I'm like, if I was a video clerk, I would not even try to explain the synopsis. That would immediately people just go, okay, I'm going to go over to this aisle instead.
Yeah. So, all right. Well, so the eye patches,
Yes.
One last thing
before we take off. My little brother Nicholas, we were hanging out around the house. My parents.
He's a bit of a troublemaker.
Oh yeah, he is. Not like Alec. Alec's a good kid. Nicholas is going to end up in prison. But we were playing around the house, and we had just had Halloween or something, and my mom bought like a bulk package of eye patches for kids to play as pirates, and we had a couple extra. And so I had this eye patch on, and I was chasing him around the house, and he said, hey, put this other eye patch on, and he handed me a second one, and I was like, sure, yeah, why not? And so I had 2 eye patches on, and the minute that second one is over my eyes and I can't see a single thing, he just straight up soccer kicks me right in the groin, and it drops me to my knees, and like I died for a little bit, and then when I finally came to,
Look, there's Tabor's soul.
yeah, and right when I came to, I ripped both of the eye patches off of my face, and my little brother was mid laugh, and he's like, like started freaking out, and he's like, oh yeah, so now his soul is going to leave his body.
Somehow I knew it was about putting 2 eye patches on. I just think of Patrick from SpongeBob, like, I'm Blind Beard the pirate.
Yeah. So anytime we watch a movie and a character has an eye patch, every family member just slowly
Tabor,
looks at me
right?
like, there he is, right there.
We didn't know who was stupider, the one that gave the eye patches and said put them on and is going to have to deal with the consequences, or the one who put them on.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So anyway,
It's a
thanks for
good
coming.
look. You know?
Thanks for coming on the show, guys. All right.
Well, yeah,
But yeah,
anytime.
thank you for coming on.
Yeah.
It was
Absolutely.
awesome, and it was so cool having a conversation with someone who is a bunch of people who are absolutely passionate about Star Trek. So I got to sit back and let you guys take the reins and just see how much this franchise has really meant to you, and how much it's kind of formed the person you are and the kind of entertainment you enjoy. And it was really cool getting to hear from all of you. So
Yeah.
I really appreciate that.
And
Thanks for having me.
I like listening to kind of an academic side of things also. Sometimes when we come on, we talk about movies and we have lots of guests and stuff, but every once in a while we'll have a professor on, or people who have been through the film program or whatnot, and they kind of take it to a little higher cerebral level when we're talking about movies, which is kind of cool once in a while.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's the reason why I appreciated the invite. Again, the thing I miss the most, movie culture wise, I miss working at the video store, where you could kind of have these types of conversations every day.
Right.
Yeah.
And now you really kind of, I mean, I guess I do because I'm at film school, but like, yeah, you don't have that same outlet anymore where you could go just talk at the video store. So it's fun to
Right.
get together and talk movies.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
All right. Well,
All right.
we ready to head on out of here?
Push the button. Let's go.
All right.
And we're gone.
Woo.
Live long and prosper.
Yes. And one spot grip.
Oh,
It should just cut off right there. When you
yeah.
Awesome. Thank you for being on. This
Hey,
was
thank you so much.
fantastic.
This was a blast. I really loved it. And yeah, Justin, we're good, man.
I know. That's the thing. I actually don't mind if people disagree with me on stuff. I love hearing people's sides. of
Yeah,
stories.
that's how I am. I love again, it's subjective. It's art.
Yeah.
So you can't.
I remember I used to do podcasting back in the day. I did it for like 5 years where I'd, host and edit interview stuff like this too. And on one thing, it was another person's podcast I jumped on. There was a guy, it was our first time meeting, and we had a vehement argument about, I think it was Gotham, the TV show. Which I personally like a lot, even though I know it's a silly, over-the-top, goofy show. But afterwards, we talked, and I'm like, dude, that was so much fun. I had a great time talking to you. He's like, oh, I thought you hated me. I'm like, no, I don't really care if you don't like it. That's fine. I think it's fun to talk to you about that stuff. So we're still friends to this day. Funny enough.
What could be better than watching two nerds argue about Star Trek?
Now it depends on what type of nerd we're talking about.
I mean,
here.
so going back to the JJ thing, the hunting TV show that I was working for up in Cody, they wanted to do a feature film. And so they invested all this time and money. We wrote a script, and I had one of my mentor from Salt Lake flew up to Cody to help. We shot a trailer for it. And so we spent the whole day just filming these scenes to make a, kind of a proof of concept. And one of our actors was like, hey, what are you guys doing after you're done shooting it? And we were like, oh, nothing. We're just going to go get dinner. He's like, I work at the movie theater. Do you guys want to come see the new Star Trek movie. And this is like 3 weeks before it comes out.
No way.
Ooh.
And so we're like, yeah, well, sure. That's awesome. Like, thank you. And again, we're sitting in the theater and we've just been given this gracious invitation. And the whole time I'm just sitting in the theater, like, just getting more and more mad. And that guy at the end was like, what was did you not like the movie? I was like, I hated the movie. And I went on this whole thing and I was like, all right, I need to rein in the inner nerd rage here because I just offended someone who just gave me a free ticket to a movie.
know.
Yeah.
Right.
It does say something that when I saw there was like a poll for Star Trek and people actually consider Galaxy Quest a better Star Trek movie than Star Trek Into Darkness. So they're just like,
I
my
want a
gosh.
second Galaxy Quest, and I think the perfect thing to do would be to give Sam Rockwell his own ship. He's been promoted to the captain now, and so
he might do it. Yeah.
you can have the other characters
Sam
come
Rockwell. Who was the kid on Earth?
Justin Long.
Yeah,
Yes,
Justin Long.
in. Yeah.
he was awesome.
Neither of them are terribly busy right now. They might do it.
Yeah. All right.
Okay, I
Cool.
need you
Well-
guys to get out of my house now.
Okay.
Thank you again.
Yeah.
I really
absolutely.
appreciate it. It was a lot of fun.
Thanks for listening to My Dad's Movie Podcast. We had a lot of fun creating it, and we hope you enjoyed it.
For more content, please check us out at Facebook and YouTube at My Dad's Movie Podcast or visit our website, mydadsmoviepodcast.com.
And always, if you'd like to help support us, please check out our Patreon at My Dad's Movie Podcast.
Thanks for listening, everybody.